agenda is acceptance of minutes of the May 16th meeting, is what it was, not May 17th. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or anything by anybody who commented? Hearing none, somebody make a motion to accept? Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Abstain.
Abstain, you weren't here. Okay. Next item on the agenda is public comment. 3 minutes per person. We will time it. So first name is Elsa Peterson. Is that Ornowski?
Olbachowski.
Okay. 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm here to present a petition. We have approximately 300 signatures on the following petition. We call upon Norwalk's Mayor, Common Council, and Oak Hills Park Authority to reject any driving range plan that destroys the woodlands and nature trails in Oak Hills Park. These petitions are being delivered here, and I will pass them around. They're also being sent to the Mayor and to all members of the Common Council by email. Among the comments from residents who signed this petition are the following. Keeping the park area is more beneficial to the community than a driving range. We need to keep our beautiful natural spaces. Park grounds need to be saved for our future. They can't be restored after they've been destroyed. The value of the current woodlands to residents and homeowners is the monetary value that the city should assess, not the failings of the current golf course. Why should homeowners have to see their property values decline and their quality of spending time at home diminished just to rescue some golf course venture that failed financially? Because of storms and damage, Norwalk has lost a lot of its trees. Don't take out trees to add paving and shortcut grass. It's a bad idea. Trees keep the city cooler, they process carbon dioxide to keep the air cleaner, and provide a cool spot to go on hot summer days. Sacrificing over 7 acres of mature forest when so little is left in our city would be tragic. My 3 young sons love exploring the woods around our home, which is directly behind the projected site. They love enjoying the trees and seeing the different animals that inhabit the area. Please don't take that from them. I'm a golfer, and I see the driving range as a losing proposition. Why not spend the money on upgrading the Oak Hills Golf Facility to draw more golfers? And lastly, this woodland should be protected as open space. If Oak Hills really needs a driving range, which I doubt, they can find some other spot for it by modifying the existing 18-hole golf course. If you would, please pass these around so everyone can have one.
Let Shelley.
Great. We have 12 sets there. I think that will be enough for everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next person to speak is Tom. Is that Albron?
Arbron.
Albron.
Hi, my name's Tom Arbron. I work at WB108 and WICC Radio. I'm here today to help Oak Hills Golf Course to possibly draw from Fairfield and New Haven counties more publicity and draw new people into the golf course to help your profitability. I'm leaving you with information about our radio stations that hit over 500,000 listeners in Fairfield and New Haven counties, and a proposition that we team up with her.
Paul Cantor, and I live on Phillips Street. My hope is that tonight you are finally going to make public the responses you received to your RFP for a driving range. Most importantly, I hope if you are considering accepting either of the proposals you received, you will make it clear how you expect the one you favor will enable you to solve your financial problems. Specifically, 3 questions I hope you will answer if you plan on voting to accept one of the 2 responses are: what is the agreed upon amount of rent you expect to receive? What will be your share of the driving range's gross revenues? And what financial guarantees are you demanding from the favored bidder? Thank you.
Thank you. Next person is...
Hi, my name is Ivona Power. And I'm from Philosophy. Please permit me to point the following. First, you extended the time period for receiving bids on your RFP to build a driving range from May 1st to May 22nd, and then again to June 5th. Then, on June 5th, you received 1 bid and 1 bid only to construct a driving range in the site most preferred by you. Then, on the excuse that one of your members was traveling, you canceled a meeting on June 12th to consider that bid, and an additional bid to construct a driving range on a different spot. What exactly is going on? The bid to construct the driving range in your preferred spot came from King Golf International. Might it be the cause that you have been working with King Golf International in an attempt to get them to sweeten the terms of their bid before making it public? If so, I suspect you are wasting your time. King Golf International is not going to solve your financial difficulties, nor does it serve your purpose to blame the decision to borrow money to build a restaurant on all your financial problems. In short, rather than wasting your time on blame and the driving range boondoggle, wouldn't it be better to spend your time and energy on demonstrating you can run the fine municipal golf course you are charged with operating, so that it can cover its costs without additional revenue from any other source? Unfortunately, all you have succeeded in accomplishing to date with your RFP is to demonstrate that you don't give a damn about the opinion of taxpayers who don't share your enthusiasm for building a large, ugly, environmentally destructive driving range in Oak Hills Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Ceci, next on the list.
Thank you. I won't be redundant. I do agree with everything that Paul and Yvonne just said as well. And I am concerned about a couple of things. One is that despite what you may think your best efforts are, and maybe you started to try to be a little bit more transparent and inclusive with the public, the process definitely has fallen apart in terms of the driving range bid. There is no transparency. There's nothing in the bid that allows us to analyze the financials, as Paul was saying. No one understood what the minimum requirements were. You have bids in now where now you've had conversations with prospective bidders, and none of that information is in the public domain. And so it's those kinds of operations that make people, suspect, even if you think that there's no reason to be. That's the type of thing that makes people like me say, what is going on with this process? Especially since your own procedure would have this thing come through your committee and then advance through the ad hoc working committee and advance to the full committee. And so, as I understand it, that meeting was canceled, and I'd like to know what discussions took place outside of this room and the full committee that then allows it to come before you tonight to continue to discuss it. So I'm concerned that the public is unaware in the process, specifically with the financials. And also to say, and just a couple of other points too, in terms of managing of the funds and managing of the programs that you already have there, I think you've probably heard from a number of people that the restaurant probably needs to be looked at, the operation over there. Some of the same complaints you guys were talking about the past 2 months, I've experienced myself now. I went there, clearly they did not have enough staff on an evening that should have been staffed. It definitely impacted the service. We would have left had we not wanted to kind of experience the whole thing. And I have seen no attempt by them at all for advertising. This was a little bizarre, by the way, and highly unusual to have an advertiser come in to solicit your business in this manner. But I'm not sure, what the relationship is in terms of marketing. I really wouldn't want to see Oak Hill staff or commissioners or any of the funding go to support that. They're supposed to have their own marketing plan that supports their business and drives revenue back to the course. And so whatever steps you're taking, I think that I haven't seen any improvement and it needs to be worked on. But I urge you again to really reconsider the driving range. That's really what I want to focus on and make sure that we understand tonight. Hopefully there's no actual vote on this tonight before the public is aware. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Lauricella?
She's not here yet.
Not here, okay. Scott Kemish?
Hi, Scott Kemish, 186 Gillis Lane. As I understand it, the RFP calls for one company to provide a turnkey operation where a single company designs, constructs, and then manages the driving range, paying a fee to OHPA in return for the revenues it makes on the range. It puts out all the money and does all the work. And two companies, as I understand it, have submitted bids, and the contrast between them, at least on Rhine, is noteworthy. The first company, Total Driving Range Solutions, its profile and expertise seems to fit the RFP. One managing partner has been working in finance, construction, and management for 30 years. His chief designer has been designing golf courses and ranges for 23 years, including 20 new courses, over 200 renovations and restorations, and over 30 driving range complexes and facilities. There's another designer who just who designs the hitting bays. And finally, we have a marketing specialist, which I think is very good for you, who is a managing partner of their sister company, T Marketing Group. Total Driving Range does not propose to build the driving range where the ad hoc committee suggested, because number one, they would probably not get a permit because of the wetlands, and number two, the cost of getting rid of all the trees and stone outcrops would have prohibited them from making a profit and returning a fee to OHPA. You can go, by the way, to Reading Country Club to see an example of their work. Tad King International, the other company, has been in existence for 9 years and built 2 courses in Egypt, 1 in Morocco, 2 in Florida, and 1 in Portugal. I looked on the website, they're beautiful, but he's agreeable to destroying the woodlands to install the range. His chief designer is his partner in another firm called King Collins, and it's Collins, not King, who worked with Rick Robbins and Gary Player Design. In college, Collins' graduate thesis addressed the environmental impact of the golf course design and construction, and I'll come back to that. But I think that the trouble is that contrary to the whole OHPA strategy and RFP, Mr. King wants to have you put up the money, and he will just take care of and make sure everything's hunky-dory. And in other words, you're going to take the financial risk in return for a promise of revenue. In fairness, the King Collins Company operates more on the olden-fashioned way. That's the contrast to the King International. It's sort of confusing, but also expects the client to put up the money. If this is how King, whether he's King or King Collins, plans to work with the OHPA, it is inimical to the RFP. That's it.
Thank you. Kate Tepper.
Thank you. In 1620, the Pilgrims the Pilgrims had a compact. It was called the Mayflower Compact, and basically what they agreed to was that their laws and ordinances would be most meet for the general good. And so it's in the spirit of this cooperation and accommodation that I asked the HPA, I'm dyslexic, to consider my remarks. I have no particular objection to a driving range. However, I do strongly object to the site that has been proposed for the construction. Oak Hills Park is about 140 acres. Of that, 130 acres are dedicated to the golf course. Since the Charter of the Norwalk Land designates it as a multi-use park, that means that non-golfers are able to use a very small proportion of that land for most of the year. Now the Oak Hills Park Authority wants to take over the remaining 8-9 acres of woodland to erect a driving range, an extremely ugly thing, in what appears to be a totally unsuitable site for this purpose, and with no guarantee that it will be successful. What do non-golfers who like to walk in those few acres of woods get in return? It's hardly the general good. You've all heard all the arguments, so I won't repeat them. Destruction of natural habitat, danger to wetlands, loss of trees and clean air, devaluation of neighbouring property, cost of blasting and replanting, etc. This destruction of these woodlands is irreversible and lost to all future generations. Since we do have a second proposal to locate a driving range on a small part of those 130 acres currently used for golf, I ask that this proposal receive very careful consideration. there's no guarantee that the driving range will succeed and pull the Oak Hills Park Authority out of its financial mess. If it does not, we are left with another useless hole in the ground, and a very ugly one at that. So when medical students take their oath, they're required to say premium nil nocere, and it means first, do no harm. We have a planet that we all live on. First, do no harm to this wonderful set of woodlands that we are blessed with in Norwalk.
Thank you. Michelle Winthrop.
Hi, I live on Coonledge Road. Forgot about the meeting. I teach. I'm exhausted. Sorry. But I did have two concerns. Quality of life issue and a concern for how about the organization itself, the golf organization and the committee, different committees up there. The first thing is, I know there are a lot of people here that are affected, but you're looking at the #1 resident who's going to be affected, because in the winter, if you look out over the back of the restaurant, you see our bedroom window. And what we're going to hear and see is everything that you propose to put up. We're only one person, one family being represented by these words, but yet I couldn't leave here and not speak up about it. We bought the home about 14 years ago, basically because of the location. The serenity offered, the sound of the birds, and the bells of the church. You won't find those in a lot of backyards. It's very rare, very sweet bird sounds. It sounds trivial to you, I'm sure. But we came here with the purpose of knowing they're not going to build a gas station in our backyard. We thought, this is a golf course, this is where we'd like to raise our family. It's just so disappointing that we worked hard to establish a home, we maintain it, we pay our taxes. I could go on and on about how we responsibly handle our money. Okay? The second thing is the concern for how far can an organization go before anybody says, you know what, this isn't right. There's some financial issue going on here. To me, this whole thing seems like a remedy, a patch or something, somebody, an error that was made that nobody spoke up to, do anything about. And here we are doing the best we can, and also with our neighbors. We're getting like punished because if this goes by the restaurant property and not down by the shed, is that right? The worker, where they keep the right. It's just, we feel like we're being punished for somebody's mistake, and the patch is just going to be, like she said so eloquently, it's going to be another hole in the ground. How can you ensure success? What kind of surveys have been done? Have you talked to other people, golfers? Do you have data to present to the community that would like to, that can say, hey, yeah, it's really needed. We definitely have a petition for you, and it would be nice to hear back from you as to what kind of community support you have for it. It's not just a business venture that's, kind of just out there without any proof that it could succeed. Thank you.
Diane Morichello. What's your address, Diane?
21 Blue Mountain Ridge Road. I don't have to tell you that, but I will.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I know the Freedom of Information laws. But anyway, good evening. I'm sorry, pardon my back. Thank you for having a public participation portion of your meeting. Not every entity in our city and town does, so I appreciate it. I'm just here tonight because many of the people that are not in favor, I'm here to say I'm not in favor of the King Golf proposal. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not in favor of the location that this particular bidder put out. I am very interested in the alternative that I've heard about, which is from Total Golf Solutions, I believe. Sorry, I'm also tired. I've had a long day. I would like you to consider the following. Some of us who've been in town a while have tried to work with the system of structure of governance. I attempted to discuss way in advance with Conservation Commission. By charter, they are charged with protecting our land, our open space. I would have liked to have seen them take you all aside months ago, as at least you were writing your proposal, your RFP, to say, guys, what alternatives? In my opinion of governance, that is their duty, and they failed to do it. I did talk with commissioners. So I thought, okay, let's do a little homework with others in the planning committee. Land use and building management, these are council committees. Finance committee of the council. Time after time, in my opinion, the mechanisms of governance has fallen short. To try to look at alternatives, we wouldn't even be here today if those kind of real discussions took place. Instead, there was a lot of people getting cut off and being pressured not to talk. And so what did we have? We had a lot of other government entities that in any other city or town, they all be part of helping you resolve your issue. They've all been told to bury your head in the sand, don't talk about it. And this is a lot of it, a little bit of politics, some of it just this board's relationship. I just ask again that you look at the alternatives, and you know that I was one of those people that said change the wording on the RFP so that the alternatives do not seem so ominous and scary to any bidder, because I'm a consultant, and when I see the kind of language I saw in your RFP, I think, wink, wink, they're saying don't even bother bidding. And the wording on that is such a shame, because it lost credibility of this group. I know a lot of you have worked really hard on trying to resolve the issues here. Ernie, I know on marketing, Clyde Mount, I know you've been working hard on it, but your actions speak differently than your words. So I'm here tonight to ask you to consider the following. I'm going to give these out. This is from a tree festival left over called Think Trees.
Thank you.
Pass it around. Anyone else that would like it? I think it's a beautiful ribbon to...
Anybody else from the public here to make a comment who's not on the list? Name, please, ma'am.
Peggy Holton, Holton.
Okay.
And I'm a West Norwalk resident. And I have a lot of trees on my property. Thank goodness, I love them dearly. And one of the things that I hope you will consider is that the Oak Hills property, the park, for the public good, is the only area in all of West Norwalk that is public and has the kind of 10 acres of trees. And these are not new little tiny saplings, which I once heard that somebody said, oh, we'll plant a few, that if we have to cut a few trees down. These are mature trees, and they're inhabited by a lot of wildlife, a lot of birds. They are located on an area which slopes from 175 feet altitude along the area where the restaurant is, down to the east side of the proposed area at an altitude of 110 feet. That's a drop in a relatively short space of 65 feet. That means there's going to be, if it's denuded, a lot of runoff. That's going to force a lot of junk and erosion into the wetlands and stream, which flows out of that area and ultimately makes its way down to the sound. From an environmental point of view, and for the benefit of those who live in West Norwalk, as I do, I just believe that's a very, very bad approach to take, and I hope you will find an alternative.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public here to speak?
And I don't hope, obviously, nearly as much as you do, but when I saw that, I thought, oh, that sounds like it might be a solution. So since there's so much opposition to the first proposal, then why wouldn't we look at that more closely and see if we can make it work? So that's what I'm asking for. And then everybody could be happy.
Anybody else?
I strongly believed at the time that it was an exquisite woodland and that it was something well worth preserving, and that the park was for the people of Norwalk, not just for golfers, and that small section of it was great. And that it's very interesting that I moved away, and I live in Denver, Colorado now, where we don't have trees, but I just arrived today. And my friends, Lorenz, told me about this, so I'm no longer on the common council, obviously, but I still believe the same way, and I'm not in Norwalk because I don't like it. I didn't come back here to vacation and drive my car back because I don't like it here. It's a wonderful, wonderful city. I think you're all really privileged. I keep asking myself why I moved away. And I think that you have something very special there. It's a beautiful woodland. Like the lady mentioned, it goes over a slope. I don't know how you can knock a ball and get any sense out of it going this way when the land's going this way. But beyond that, it's, as we've heard, we're denuding the earth. And I think we need to really look at that. People are going crazy on this planet. They're doing some really crazy things, and why not? Because we're looking at the people in front of them wipe it out. So I think we need to consider that. It's more than just a bunch of trees that are in the way of sailing golf balls. It's more than money. It's what keeps this planet ticking. I believed it years ago when we spoke out against Oak Hill. I believe it is even stronger and more powerful today. I come from a place where I've just been listening on the radio to hundreds of homes going down and forests being burned up by the hundreds of thousands of acres. And then you want to sit here and cut one down? And all the creatures that live in it. It's not like, if I come in and I mow down your apartment buildings, you don't just go out and find another place to live that easy. All the creatures that live there, where do they go? Where do the birds go? I mean, they can't move into the forest across the street. Somebody else is living there. I can't move into your house if somebody knocks my house down. You're living there. You have to consider more than just the dollar value and Golf Digest and all the money that people make off the sport. It's a wonderful sport. It gets people out. I wish you'd have one day a week where people in wheelchairs could wheel themselves through Oak Hills. It's so beautiful there. My mother was in a wheelchair. I used to wheel her through places like that so she could see beauty. So I'm just here. It's odd. I just arrived after a 2-day drive from Colorado just hours ago. I'm here because I want to ask you to respect the wildlife, respect the people. Thank you.
I think in Colorado in 2 days. Wow. Anybody else?
And it's just reminding me that Bill, my husband's sister, came here from Alabama, and we were driving around town, and I said, you see that little pocket of beautiful trees right there? If we hadn't fought tooth and nail, that would be gone. That's over by Stu Leonard's, and that's how Peter Ween originally got on the Common Council, was fighting just to save 5 gorgeous trees. And now we have them, and it's made all the difference in the world up there. That'd be an ugly, ugly strip if it weren't for that little pocket of shade and dapple. We're driving along, we're on Philo. I said, you see that? You see that? That would be 47 houses if it weren't for all of these people who spent all of their spare time fighting to save those, that it wasn't woods in that case, but it was pasture, and it's beautiful, and we have it, and it's a community garden, and it's a wonderful thing. And then we get into our own yard on Weed Avenue. There's a little 3/4 of an acre of beautiful woods. That would be gone if the West Norwalk Association hadn't fronted $50,000 to sue the people that owned it who wanted to build, take it all down, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's right by Gay McLeod's house, and she would be looking into somebody's bathroom window if it weren't for volunteers working to save those trees. And as we drove down Philo Street, I said, you can't see it from here, but there's 11 gorgeous acres in this park, this public park, and we are now fighting again to save it from being destroyed and put up the most uglier than a parking lot, uglier. It looks like a penitentiary. If you've ever looked at a penitentiary exercise yard and a golf driving range, you can't tell the difference. So I hope you'll just keep that in mind, because it'll be your legacy. When your grandchildren say, what did you do? You can say, well, you could say I saved a beautiful 11 acres of oak land from being destroyed in a public park.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public here to comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Hello. My name's Missy Conrad. My husband and I moved here in 1971. We both grew up in Pelham, New York, and we're happy to come finally to Connecticut because it's so much greener. New York State, lower, Westchester County, is just a little crowded. And in the 70s, I used to be an observer at the when they had a Parks and Recreation Commission. And this past weekend, I went to the birthday party of a kid, somebody who we went to school with, and some former people who had lived in Norwalk. They said, "Oh, remember Francis and Philip Raymer." There happens to be a plaque in the Norwalk Public Library for them. And Francis and Philip Raymer were teachers in Norwalk, and the plaque in the library says how much they gave, but they also gave a lot for the environment. And I remember they're both dead now, and I'm 70, and I don't know when I will die. When any of us, that guy Garofini, he died at 51. That's kind of young to me nowadays. Those trees, I went on Saturday, and it was really, what broke my heart the most? That I was the only one there who hadn't been there before. Not one person. And you ask people in town, and they say, well, a driving range sounds like a good idea, but it's where? Because it isn't a, quote, virgin forest. Nothing in Connecticut, lower Connecticut, probably is. But it's a very venerable, beautiful spot. And it is home to animals. It is a tremendous buffer from I-95. It's just parallel Connecticut Avenue, I-95. We need green spots. And Dolce is a private property. They happen to let people there now, but near me, our house where we live now, the Stop and Shop by the Merritt Parkway, that land was once in our open space, private open space, but in the count of acreage, and it's, been developed. And so this is our land. We are the stewards of it, and the animals live there. I saw a wood thrush there. My mother, when I was a kid, she called it the redbird. She didn't know what the name was. The cardinals were coming up from the south because of, warming. And the wood thrush needs a lot of land. And there it was at Oak Hills Park, our Oak Hills Park, in that land. There's, nobody screams eminent domain. Francis and Philip Raymer used to say, we come, old as they were. We come and speak for the animals and the birds and the ferns and the trees. So in their memory, please remember that it's a chip away. It's a chip away, little by little. Let's not lose this.
Okay,
very important area. And thank you for what you do. And I hope you saw the New York Times article, unrelated, about how golf is, people are not playing golf. It was a very good article about the, did you see it? About how they're trying to make it more money-wise, that people everywhere are losing money on it.
Anybody else from the public here to comment? If not, we'll close the public comment portion of the meeting closed, and we'll move on to the pros report.
Don't have much to say tonight, just other than the